Well, hello everybody. I'm assuming you've all wondered what in the world has happened to me. All you've seen is a few random smatterings of videos of me screwing around with a motorhome, and I haven't been doing anything that looks like work lately. So, just the short version of it is, I took a week and went and got the motorhome. I was home for 5 days. Well, I was a little longer than 5, but I got 5 days in the shop, punched out that Hitachi 450 quick coupler that I think I uploaded video of that, weld and bornet thing, and then took off and was down in the Smoky Mountains for 10 days. And since I got back, all I've done is played hooky and worked on the motorhome. So, I mean, a few little jobs, but nothing worth videoing. And then we had some other excitement in there that's its own crazy story. The city was trying to blow out the sewer line that was plugged up and back flushed it into my house and exploded it into my bathroom. Like, I wish I had a picture of it. We had a 3-foot geyser of crap coming out of the toilet when my wife was screaming for me to come in there, and I went in and took a look. So anyway, that was quite a mess. That took some back and forth. We're still not done dealing with that. But anyway, so I'm finally on an actual job again. I just thought I'd show you what I'm up to. It's just a pretty simple fabricating job. I don't know what you call this thing, but it's like a leveling rake. It's an attachment for a skid steer, and one of my local customers here has got one of these, and they called me about the idea of rebuilding it, because all of these are just wore right down to nubbins, and then it's worn through the tubing, like on the corners. It's just wore right through from dragged around. So I went and looked at it and ended up advising them that, oh, and then I should add that at some point in the past it was already fixed once by adding, so these are on 6-inch centers, and then they're supposed to be staggered, where they're alternating rows. And that one has already had a whole nother set welded in between the existing ones, and those have been wore out. Well, it's to where there's so much stuff attached to it that unless you wanted it to look really hillbilly, I'd have to try and cut some of them off. And it's just, I told them, I said, by the time I screw around and try and fix the wore-through frames on the ends and cut off a bunch of them, it's just faster and better to start from scratch. And I ran them the numbers either way, and I came up with it costing at most $300 more to make the thing from scratch. So anyhow, they said, anyways, I just cut me a whole mountain of these little pieces. I should have set some video of that. It's pretty straightforward, but I had to cut 72 of them. So what I did is started by cutting my bar stock into 4 equal length chunks that I had calculated had just a little bit extra waste on them, and then I was bundling them 4 at a time in the saw and chopping it. So I was able to cut all of those stubs, and it took about an hour on the saw to cut 72 of them off. But definitely is a job where I'd like to have a shear, because if you had a shear with a stop, man, I could have blown right through them, just foot pedaling, just chonk, 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 keep slamming her through. But I don't have one. So anyways, what I'm doing now is I got, been playing around with getting this thing dialed in, because what I've done is, for the spacing to be exactly right, this outside one would have to be flush with the outside, but that's a pain to put it there and weld it with the radius in the corners of the tube. So what I've done is come in, welded it on that radius, and then take the first one, measure in from the end, let's see, it would be 5 3/4 to the edge to get me on the center line of that with 6 inches. And then I made myself a little spacer piece that I just drop in here and tack, tack, tack. Now, I realize you can get some cumulative error out of that, but it don't matter. This thing is a rake. I mean, I might be off by, say, 1/8 of an inch by the time I get to the end one. It's not worth the amount of time, and time is money, and I got to charge them for money. I mean, the customer wants a good-looking, functional part. So this is the kind of thing where, I got to stop and tell myself, all right, they don't want space shuttle precision. They want functionality, and they want it at the best price I can give it to them. And on this kind of stuff, by the way, I give them my price that I think it'll cost. If something terrible goes wrong, where, okay, there was a major oversight, it's way more, I might come back and ask for a little more. But generally, like on this, I am certain we're going to come in substantially under what I quoted them. If my hourly rate ends up being less than what I estimated, I charge them my hourly rate. So it's definitely, the savings is going to the customer if I can figure out ways to speed this up. So it's not like I'm just slamming stuff out and pocketing the difference here. So anyways, I got my first row all welded on. I got a few, I see all welded on. I'm getting ready to zap around a few of these. And then I got to get the next row set, stagger it, you know, falling on the halfway point, and blow through and just buzzing them on. And the attachment that this goes on, it's got like a framework that welds on it. It'll have to be flipped over that welds on the top of it. And I told them to bring me that later this afternoon, and I'll cut it off the other framework and weld it onto this one. All right, so they just dropped off the rest of this thing. So you can see the hodgepodge collection of worn off nubs it's got going. You can see like this corner's just starting to wear out, but down on the leading edges, you can see it's just worn right through. And that's where it was like, okay, by the time I horse around, build that up, but the whole thing is worn really thin in a lot of spots. And then, you know, it's got all these half worn out nubs on it. Anyways, then I don't know if you can see it very well, but these things are bent up pretty good. But the nice thing is, whoever built this did me a favor, and they didn't full weld these. They only welded them from the top side. So I can literally take a torch, and because we're scrapping this, I'll just blow through there with a torch, just whack right down each side. And then, yeah, they didn't weld just around the tip, so I'll just blow that whole framework loose, lay it on top of the other one when I get it done, and weld it back on. So I'm going to go in there and get back at it. My goal is to have this thing done today so they can pick her back up. Alright, I got her carved off there. We didn't gouge this up too bad. Feel a little nicks in it, but nothing we're worried about. I'll just grind that up smooth and slam her back on the next one. But I gotta call it a day. We got a dinner appointment with a friend of ours, so I'm gonna shut this down and get out of here. Good morning. So I flipped over this thing, got it turned around the way I wanted it, and then I've brought this in already this morning, ground up the welds on the bottom. I'm just gonna bring the forklift in, set it up on top of there, and nail her on. We're about to have this baby wrapped up. Okay, well, there she is, all welded up, fabbed up, ready to go back to the customer. Supposed to send a trailer out here pretty quick and pick her up. So let's see here, start to finish, I gotta go double check, but I believe it's about 6.5 hours into this. I'll have to go look up the numbers, but I think we were in material about $450, and then another $750, if I remember right, or thereabouts in fabricating time. So anyways, so what is that? It's about $1,200 material and labor to completely fabricate that, cut apart the old one and put the new one together. So anyway, which is, I don't even know exactly how much a new one of these cost, but it was something north of $1,500. So they're happy, and I don't know what the availability was on that. Anyhow, so there you have it. That's another project in the books.